It's great to have the mayor in studio, Scott Maddasion, of course, the second Thursday of the month. And big day yesterday, the state of the city. How'd it go, Scott?
Yeah, it went really well. We had the highest attendance we've ever had for the state of the city. We were at about 200 people yesterday.
Wow.
So it's really cool. I was talking to a couple people, and it's wild that a small idea that we had in my first year in 2020 as mayor has kind of spurred into this event that people want to go to, and they show up, and it was really cool. So, we went, our first State of the City was in the council chambers, live streamed on YouTube and Facebook because, we couldn't have a big event in 2020, and then we started doing it up at the lodge, and we've grown into a really cool event. And I think it's an opportunity to really highlight our departments and the folks that work in the departments of the city, because really, myself and the council, we set policy, we make decisions on projects and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's all the folks that work for the city that really make things happen. They're out there managing the projects, or even pouring concrete or doing whatever they're doing. And this gives us an opportunity to showcase all the wonderful things that they accomplish throughout the year.
My brother, the councilman, was unable to get up there. He had to stay at Lyons Filling Station.
Oh, sure.
He was watching it on YouTube. So, any idea what your viewership number is on something like that?
Honestly, I didn't look it up. I could look it up. Yeah, it's live streamed on there, and then it'll always stay on YouTube. So you could go back and watch it whenever. So I know some people do that. Which, the IT department did a wonderful job. They had the technology set up with the cameras and the mics. They were piping it from the lodge back to City Hall, and then sending it out and live streaming it on YouTube from there. So it's a big operation for them, and I know they had a lot of fun doing it because it's something different, right? They get to set that up and do it, and with the lodge, with all the TVs that are up there now, and being able to display that, it's really cool. The technology's come a long way, and it gives it a good feel as we're presenting.
Tell me some of the highlights of the state of the city.
I think one thing that we always highlight is we highlight, police and fire and the calls that they go on and all that stuff. But I think in those two departments, the biggest thing that I like to highlight that we did was the community policing and then the community outreach that the fire department and the police department do. They do a lot more than just, handling their normal day-to-day jobs that you think of on one of those folks. And I think that is a huge thing, because those departments are really, really working hard to create great community pride in the events that they go to and the different things. So I really think that's awesome. Obviously, Parks and Rec is something that you see all the time, right? They're a very visible department. They have a lot of great things going on, so we highlight that. Then you go to Public Works, and there's a lot of projects around the city that you don't know that our folks at Public Works actually accomplish, right? And having skilled tradespeople in that department is something that the city's not necessarily had. And we have it now. And one thing, it creates a little pride, because these guys are actually being able to finish projects in the city. They drive by it with their friends and family. They can say, hey, we did that, But it also saves the city a lot of money. If we can do some small jobs here and there to save the taxpayers' dollars and do it in-house, that works. Community development, we highlight all the, unfortunately, the nuisance houses we have to take care of and things like that, which Tammy does a great job. We're trying to make sure that we continue to hold people accountable, because we don't want the taxpayers to be on the hook for bad actors, because they don't do what they're supposed to. So we just want to make sure that everybody's, doing what they're supposed to, so that we don't end up tearing down 100 houses, right? And that's how many we've done since 2017, which is sad, right? Mm-hmm. We want to keep that stuff. And finance, we talk about that. It's not a huge piece of it, but it is, because we're talking about finance all the time at meetings and things like that. But we're in a good financial position, maintained our bond rating. So yeah, we're just really going through all of those items and highlighting everything. How much, I think it's really crazy that we had 14 or 1,500 permits that were pulled, and it's like $75 million worth of upgrades throughout the city. Whether that's someone putting a roof on or a new furnace or whatever it is, right? That money adds up big time, right? And it's just really cool to see that. And then lastly, economic development, that's something that you want to make sure you hammer on. So we talk about all the local businesses that are expanding, and then the ones that are coming in.
Now, are you the only one who speaks, or how's that work?
Yeah, I am. I should probably take a page out of Dr. Golden's book, because he always has his department heads in the school district. They talk about there. I should make all the department heads come up and talk But I'm sure they would be like, no, just you
You're doing a
handle
great
it.
job, Scott. Just
Yeah.
Any Q&A involved at all?
We don't generally have a lot of time. We try to stop right at 1 o'clock to be cognizant of people's time. We at like 12:57, I wrapped up. It's like, if anybody has questions, come find me, right? So I talked to some people afterwards. They asked me a couple things here and there, but you can always email me or call or leave voicemail, whatever you need to do. I'll always answer questions with transparency and honesty, and yeah.
I think it's great that you started this, and as you said, it just continues to grow.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. I mean, I got the idea, like, other cities, Quad Cities, I saw some advertisements, they're doing that. And I remember in 2020, I asked Matt, I'm like, do we do something like this? And he was like, no. And I'm like, I think we should. And he agreed. And, he's a big part of putting this together too, because obviously he leads all the departments and getting all the information from the department heads and compiling it and making the slides. Matt spends a lot of time on this and very grateful for that, because he does a wonderful job helping put it together. So
Again, visiting with Scott Maddasion, our mayor. So tailgate and tall boys, where are we standing right there?
Yeah, that's the big conversation. The meeting on Monday, we had a discussion on the committee of the whole about a new contract, and that will be up for a vote for approval or not on the 25th of November meeting, right? Basically, it's going to be a different look. In this, the city will kind of be taking over the budget. In the past, we were a 50-50 partner with USA Concerts, and what we would do here is we were right-sizing the budget for Clinton, so we're going to bring that budget down a little bit, because we haven't obviously been able to cover that larger budget here in town. So what we need to do is we need to book artists where we know what you're going to get. We're not going to take maybe a huge chance on something, right? So we're going to get those artists that you know what you're going to get, so that we can maintain a good festival. We really built the festival the last 3 years on like a 10 or 11,000 break-even point. What's more realistic for Clinton and what we've seen over the last 3 years using data, it's not my thoughts or my speculation, it's using the numbers, 6,000 at a break-even is probably more reasonable for us. I think we can easily maintain 6,000, maybe to 8,000 as far as the attendance for each day. And if we build that break-even at 6,000, I think we can be more successful. Also, bringing that budget down will allow us to, not have to recoup as much cost, if the budget's lower. So, and with that, it's a focus on. I think we've done a great job over the last 3 years building this festival, right? And nothing happens in a day. Sometimes it takes some time to get things going. But what we want to do is we want to really shift focus to more Clinton-centric, right? We want it to be something that everyone in Clinton can be proud of and that they can own, right? And having that Tailgate and Tall Boys name is important for people, just because they have a national brand awareness. And so far, 80% of our attendees have come from outside our community. So that national brand name, that national brand awareness is important, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, we can call it whatever we want, right? What it is it's similar to what we've had in the past with Riverboat Days. It's a music event that provides top-tier entertainment, nationally touring acts, and, there's the food vendors and the beer and whatever you want down there. Some people say it's not family-friendly. I disagree. I've had my kids down there. I've had other people's kids have come down there. It's safe. It's clean. It is an environment where families can hang out. There's not fighting. There's not, drunken craziness. That is not what happens down there. So if you haven't gone to the festival and that's what you're spewing online and other places, please stop, because that's not what it is, right? And I get some people don't agree with this. Some people don't like it. And I understand that, and I respect everybody's opinion. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to create an event that is going to be sustainable for the city and something that people are going to want to look forward to and be a part of.
It's obviously been a learning process, and you have learned from what you've experienced in the past. Still a 3-day festival, Scott?
Yes. Josh and I really like the idea of the 3-day. We want people to come here. We want them to come here on Wednesday or Tuesday and camp and stay in the hotels and then patronize businesses throughout the week. And we want it to be a fun time, and we felt like having that 3-day really sets us up for the camping side of things. If you go shorter, then maybe folks won't come in for that. So that's kind of where our focus is. We also, I think the flow of a 3-day is great, right? I think it's fun, and we can go a little lighter on Thursday, and then kind of make it heavier on Friday and Saturday as we go into the weekend. And I think we got a good plan. Go watch the meeting, the committee of the whole. There's a lot of information on there, a lot of questions were asked. We'll probably discuss more, have more questions on the 25th. But I think this something's really cool. I think people need to don't worry about the name. Right, the name is not what's important. What's important is the experience and the event and the opportunity that we have here to have top-tier entertainment right here in Clinton and not have to drive out of our community.
And I know when you first started this that, they were just so taken by the area, the venue that is afforded you down there on the riverfront.
Yeah, they love Clinton and they love the venue. And let's be honest, Clinton's not necessarily a spot where a large concert promoter is going to choose to go. Right? I mean, our population is 25,000. We have the surrounding area that has some too. We're not like the ideal location, right? But when we met with them and they came here, they took a chance on Clinton, and they've grown to love Clinton. The promoters love it. Just yesterday, we got a message from them. And believe it or not, there are agents in Nashville that are asking if spots are open for Clinton next year.
That's great to hear.
Artists like coming here. We've been told that they think our backstage is one of the best backstages in the country. There's a pool back there. It's open. It's clean. You're right on the river. There's a couple artists. They went running on the trail and different things like that. So they love that the camping is right on top of the festival. So last year we had some of the artists that were in a side-by-side driving through the campground, just talking to people and meeting with people. And, things like that is what happens here in Clinton. And the artists like coming here. The promoters like coming here. We just need to get our backyard on board. This is a great event. And I think if we all rally behind it, it could be something that 10 or 15 years from now we're thinking like, man, hope this thing never goes away, right?
That is great to hear.
Yeah.
Same kind of format, the headliner and then the undercard?
Yeah, we would like the same format, 4 artists each day. Last year we plugged a 5th artist in on Saturday. People are off on Saturday. I like kind of throwing an extra artist in there. It doesn't really change much as the landscape. Production and all that stuff doesn't cost anything different. Generally, the artists that are on the lower level are not super expensive, right? So it doesn't really change the scope of the budget very much. But it gets people there a little earlier and has something to do all day. But yeah, I think we do have a good plan, and I think our focus on keeping it Clinton-centric and really trying to get the community rallied behind it is where we want to head.
All right, well said. Let's take a break for the weather, brought to you by Electronics.
Happy Thursday. It is going to be a beautiful afternoon as we are going to see plenty of sunshine, southerly winds, not too breezy, but helping push those temperatures to just about 60 degrees for afternoon highs. We'll continue to stay dry through today, quiet tonight with lows in the upper 30s. I'm Storm Track 8 meteorologist Morgan Strackbine.
Right now we do have fair skies, 41 degrees. Our update brought to you by Electronics.
Electronics Incorporated is the area's largest communications and alarm systems company. Electronics offers best in class life safety, security, audiovisual, two-way radios, and communications from top brands. Whether it's a one-man operation, a small business, or a large franchise, their professional team has decades of experience that bring you the best possible service. Electronics Incorporated at 522 North 2nd Street, Clinton.
Still with the mayor in the studio, home rule charter.
Yeah, so we've talked a couple times about this. On the committee of the whole on Monday, the council officially went through and adopted some of the changes that were recommended by the Home Rule Charter Commission. And the reason it was only some of is there is a few items on there that have to be petition driven by the citizens, right? So we didn't deliberate about it. We didn't talk about it. These items, so if the recommendation was go to from 7 to 5 council members. Council can't make that decision. That's a petition. Wards, to eliminate the wards and go all at large. Council can't make that decision. That it has to be a petition that's brought and the citizens have to vote on those things. So we didn't talk about those. They accepted the other recommendations. Enhancing the language for the mayor's role. So matching the ordinance into the charter. So matching that language in there. We had in the charter city manager and then everywhere in the code it's city administrator. So we wanted those things to work together. So they changed the manager to administrator so it mirrors the code. The ordinances and the charter are the same. There's a couple other things in there that were pretty minor. There was one a word in there where it just said the city and they change it to the city council. That's the person that makes, or the people that make the decision. So little things like that. There was one item in there about spending authority, and we may need to leave it in the charter. We already have it in ordinance, but we're not sure if it needs to be in both. That's not a huge thing. That's a minor thing. So they accepted those changes. Now the way it goes would be it'll be voted on to move into the charter through the process. If there's a petition coming up for one of those other items, the council will deal with it accordingly with our attorney helping us out there. And then even the small changes that we made, once we put it into place, the citizens have 30 days to petition if they don't want some of those changes in there. Honestly, I don't know why you wouldn't. They're really not, earth-shattering, or they don't change a whole lot of anything. They're more just clarification pieces on a lot, but that is afforded the option too. So there's a couple mechanisms for the checks and balances from the citizens on this thing.
Those two things you talked about that would require a petition, how would that process work? How would somebody, if they would want to bring that up?
Yeah, so I can't remember exactly how many signatures that you need for it off the top of my head. It's somewhere around 150 or so, because it's a percentage of the last election. It's like 10%, I think, of the last election or something like that. So it's not a lot of signatures in regards to that. But what they would need to do is they need to determine what they want the language to be for the petition. Do you want it to say, we're going to 5 council members from 7, or however that works? Our city attorney can help with language on stuff like that if needed. But basically, there's a form that you get from the city clerk. You have to have the proper language that you would want on the ballot. So you need to make sure it's accurate, right? You can't change it later, because if you get 200 signatures on it and the language says a certain thing, you can't change that without getting signatures again. So you want to make sure that you have your language correct. And then you just go out, get your signatures, turn it in, and then the council would have to put it on a ballot. A special election ballot does cost money, right? So we would be...
That was my next question. It'd have to be a special election.
It would, unless they wanted to wait till the general election in November of next year. Okay. I mean that's quite possible if they wanted to do that. But if we did a special election, it would cost the city money. I think it's around $8,000 or $9,000 to do something like that. So there would be a cost associated with that. But also, the questions would have to be separate. So you can't say, go to 5 council members and eliminate the wards. It would have to be 2 separate questions on a ballot, right? Okay. Is my understanding. And I could be wrong, but that's where our attorney would come in and make sure that the petition is correct. So
while we're speaking of elections, the results, talk us through that. How's the makeup of the council right now?
Yeah, so obviously we had 3 of our incumbents that were not going to run for re-election. So we have 3 new council members coming in. Pat Detterman was the only incumbent that ran at large, and he did win, got kept his seat. So we'll have Pat back, and then Ward 1 is changed to Connor Lee. He ran unopposed, so we'll have him coming on. And then Ward 3 is Janet Turpin. She beat out someone for Ward 3, and then Travis Winter was the second leading vote getter on the at-large side, so he'll be coming in as well January 1st. So they'll get sworn in. The last meeting of the year, I believe it's December 18th. It's a Thursday. It's like the Thursday before Thanksgiving.
There it is.
Before Christmas.
Yes,
the 18th.
December 18th. Yep.
So that's the plan, to have them sworn in at that date. So then January 1st they can take their seat like they're supposed to. And there is some training that they have to do per the state requirements. The legislature put some open meeting laws training out there that they have to go through, and they have a certain amount of time to finish that. So they'll have to go through that. We'll have a pre-budget meeting and CIP meetings here in November and December, so they'll all be invited to that. We want them to be involved in that process. And then we do have, right after the first of the year, we'll start strategic planning. Well, we were going to do it in October, decided to move it to January so that those new council members could be involved in that process. Obviously, it made sense to do it that way. So a couple things that will be hopping up for them. And our budget stuff got moved to the end of April, so we don't necessarily have to start right away in January. We can kind of go a little slower and kind of push that to the later January to February timeframe to really start those budget processes, because we do have 30 extra days now. So
okay, so 3 new members. Pat is still on.
Yep.
So who else who was not up for election?
So myself, Cody Seeley in Ward 2, Rhonda Kearns in Ward 4, and Greg Obrin in at large. So those 3 will still remain on there. Yep. So, so really four members that are on there now will be there, and then the 3 new ones. So yeah, and since we're talking about this too, and I mentioned at the State of the City yesterday, definitely want to thank Bill Shemmers, Eartha Davis, and Ron Mussman for their service. Bill was on there, I think, maybe close to 8 years. I think he's been on there. So I don't remember exactly. It might even be a little more than that. But he's been on there a while. Ron's been on there a while, and Eartha did 1 term. So just thank them very much, because it takes a lot to get through those packets and be prepared for meetings, and always insightful, all 3 of them, and wish them the best on kind of whatever they're going to do next. But always great to see people stepping up and doing this, and want to thank them, wholeheartedly.
It is my understanding that Bill is going to continue to do the City Watch program here on our station.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. So
cool.
I hope so, because I think that's a great program.
I like it.
You've been on it.
I've been on it several times. Yeah, no, I think that's a great program, and I hope he does. And I would assume, knowing Bill, that he's going to stay involved.
Yeah.
Where that is, I don't know. I haven't chatted with him about it, but I hope he does stay involved, because I think he's got a really, really good insight on a lot of topics, and we've had good conversations over the years. So I hope everybody stays involved. Really, find a way to get on it, maybe a committee or something, so you kind of stay up and use your expertise from your time on the council to kind of help spread that. But yeah, I mean, it's been good working with them, and then now coming into the new group, excited to work with them as well, and kind of see where their thoughts are and kind of what they want to do moving forward.
As always, appreciate your time. We've got about 3 minutes left in the program. We're getting toward the end of construction season naturally. Yeah. So how are things looking on that front?
Good. So there's still a little bit of stuff down there on the manufacturing drive that they're finishing up, but the second bridge won't happen until February. So that corridor will be open there through until they start working on that, which is good. Hopefully we can stay away from some snow and things like that. But you'll see projects starting to finish up at this point. They are going to be working on bluff and manufacturing as much as they can throughout. They're going to try to keep the progress going. It's not going to halt altogether until spring. So yeah, we need to keep moving on that project. It's been tough. I mean, just living right off Terrace there in that area, it changes your route that you have to go several times. And even yesterday, going from the casino to try to get downtown, I thought I could go one way, and then I had to turn, and then I thought I could get there, and I'm like, man, I gotta pay attention. I gotta pay attention. I gotta pay attention to those press releases.
So what about 2nd Avenue South?
2nd Avenue South. I can't remember, the area from 3rd to 6th will be done by the end of the year, and then that next leg up there will not be until spring in 2026. Spring, summertime is when they'll take on the rest of that.
Speaking of City Watch, I think Jason Kraft was on last week's program. So
yeah, they ran, from what I heard, they ran into some rock down there as they were trying to get some sewer separation done and things like that, which slowed that process down a little bit. So, who knew we had all that rock and everything down there?
Bedrock. Hey, thank you so much for your time. Any closing comments before we let you go?
Well, happy Thanksgiving to everybody, because I won't be on before that happens. And then pay attention. We have that first weekend in December. We'll have the Christmas tree lighting, and downtown we'll have a big celebration down there for that. So pay attention for that.
And you'll get to light the tree.
Yep.
All right, Scott. Thank you.
See ya.